Former President Donald Trump will surrender in Georgia in just a few hours. It all comes after a former president was indicted last week on charges in connection with efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in the Peach State. He has 18 co-defendants, many of whom have already surrendered in this case. Our Katie Barlow here live with us in the newsroom to talk about it all. So, Katie, how quickly can we expect this all to go?
First of all, I've got a really good orange and blue pantsuit that you can borrow anytime.
We could all wear them together.
You do look sharp today, but how quickly can we expect this to go? So
as we go into these indictments, you talk about the pantsuit. Let's go.
You're always front of mind, Joe. So how quickly can today go? It's going to happen this evening, most likely, where Trump will surrender. And actually, he's already negotiated a good part of what's going to happen today, so it can go pretty quickly, actually.
Okay.
He and his lawyers all have worked with Fonnie Willis's team to go ahead and negotiate what's called a consent bond here, where he's going to pony up $200,000. There are a few different ways that he can pay that, and they've agreed to the terms of his release. We've talked about this before, and Trump's already faced this 3 times, but he'll be allowed to walk out of that courthouse today. He'll be free, but still subject, of course, to certain requirements. Those requirements, $200,000. And then also, this is the first time he will be explicitly ordered not to go to social media to target either his co-defendants or potential witnesses in the case. Now, of course, we know that former President Trump sometimes has happy thumbs and gets to tweeting or truth socialing about people who are involved in some of his other criminal cases, and the judges even. So that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on in the coming days and weeks.
What happens if he decides to go on and, do what he normally does? What are the repercussions?
Well, he'll be violating that consent bond. So a judge could haul him in and say, hey, what are you doing? And have a hearing about it. The judge could talk to his lawyers and say, hey, get your client in line. There are a few things that could happen. I'm not saying he's going to go to jail right away. That's certainly not on the table, at least
that
initially. But
doesn't immediately send him to jail,
but it would be in violation of the consent bond, and that's something that a judge would probably want to have a little chat about.
Okay,
exactly.
I did see that he changed up his legal team this go around.
He did, yes. So he actually just made a last-minute change today, firing Drew Findling, and then he replaced him with this guy who's an Atlanta-based attorney, Steven Sadow. He is a high-profile defense attorney. He's represented some big names like Usher and Rick Ross. So he has some experience in Georgia. He has some experience with high-profile cases. He's not going to be new to this, and he's already hit the ground running, making some filings in Trump's case.
Okay, I'm sorry. I giggled a little because I thought you were going to say, Jimmy Carter, Rick Ross and Usher.
Richard Nixon, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Maybe Rick Ross and Usher's lawyer is going to get Trump off. And,
we'll see how it goes, I guess.
We'll see.
He knows the courts well.
But he does know the courts well. I'll give him that. And he may know a little bit about this RICO.
Yeah. Exactly.
There you go. Okay, so, he's got those 3 other criminal cases. Those are still pending. Where does that stand right now?
So, yes, this is one of 4 current pending criminal cases against the former president.
He needs a rapper's lawyer.
One of those, right here in our backyard, the January 6th case from special counsel Jack Smith, that's going to have a hearing on Monday, actually. Fox 5, I'll be there. Okay. We'll be there in the morning on Monday. There's going to be a hearing in that case. Judge Tanya Chutkin, D.C. federal judge, expected to probably set a trial date on Monday for that case. And that's the one where Jack Smith is asking for a Happy New Year January 2nd trial. We'll see if he gets his wish on that one, but they're trying to move that one perhaps to be the first one up of these 4.
And that could be, just days after, 3 years to almost the date of the insurrection. That could be very interesting to see.
Wow, and wow.
Katie, I know you'll keep us updated with everything. And what time he's set to surrender?
This evening.
This evening, okay.
We'll have another update at 6.
Okay, sounds good. We'll see you then.
Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Wow.